you are going to hear things that don't always match, this one exact thing. But at the same time, right, the theoretical knowledge, the academic knowledge, that I think is one of the biggest problems in skill development, not just especially in the world of language learning, and most especially in English, but just in skill development in general. I've noticed this across the board, where it's not that the academic information is wrong, but there are some things that I just flat out disagree with. But it's that it can color the way that you look at things, which it shouldn't be this way, right? It should be, okay, if this is academically true, I learn it, and then it helps inform my perception and my ability to do it, right? They should match up. And largely, for the most part, that is what will happen. But the way that it tends to be described, or this or that, certain details, certain technicalities, when you steep yourself in the knowledge, remember, knowledge is not skill. Knowledge is not the practical reality. It's a description. It's trying to describe what the reality is. The way that we conceptualize things can actually have a direct impact on your perception of it. And so even if the academic information isn't necessarily wrong, maybe it's limited. Maybe it's only focused on, like, say in the case of American English, right? Most resources will focus just on that sort of, like, that's called the North Midland pronunciation. That's supposed to be the neutral accent. Even though, number one, the accent that you're usually taught by most teachers is not 100% natural. It sounds good, but it's not 100% native by any native speakers. And number two, most of the country speaks a neutral sounding accent, and there's more than one neutral sounding accent. And so what I'm teaching you is like, hey, there's an easier way to do this. Use the cot merger. There's an easier way to do that. Just say as a vowel. It works perfectly fine, but you don't get that information from most sources. And then in the case of like the cot merger, where like that's slowly becoming the American pronunciation. It's been moving in that direction over time, over the last 40, 50 years. But it's still not taught for some reason. It's still taught as the unmerged version. And so sometimes the academic knowledge might be sort of caught in the past also. So there's all kinds of little reasons why the academic or theoretical knowledge can actually get in the way of your skill development. And that's again why I say the language is alive and ready for you to perceive, right? It's ready for you to produce. It's ready for you to observe and interact with. It's a living thing. It's not found in some dusty old book with some antiquated grammar rule that you can't put a preposition at the end of a sentence when everybody does. This is the reality. And the more that you focus on perceiving the reality, there's nothing wrong with knowledge, but you should always have an emphasis on hearing what is actually happening. Whether or not the knowledge is accurate or not, let's say the knowledge is perfectly fine and it directly translates to the skill. It causes no problems with the skill development. That's still just knowledge, and knowledge is not skill. You could completely not learn any knowledge ever, just pay close attention. And as I said, the language will teach you all of its secrets. It'll tell you everything you need to know. Now, some knowledge is very useful. Grammar, pronunciation knowledge, right knowledge at the right time, certain details can help you learn faster, more easily. So I don't want to throw that out, throw the baby out with the bathwater. But you should always emphasize the actual, real, living thing, perceive it, produce it. Notice how natives speak, not how some book says that natives are supposed to speak or supposedly speak.